Alright, let's say you learned to solve a cube and your parents got you a speed cube, but they got you some garbage like this that has no magnets and isn't even stickerless. So, here's how to do this, and just like some general new cube care. First of all, this pamphlet is almost always useless. You shouldn't learn anything from it. They're all going to be bad algorithms. The boxes also, you think you need them, you probably don't, unless they're like bigger boxes you can use for cube covers. Alright. This is just an example. This is a really cheap, like, crappy $4 cube to prove this with. So, if you take off the center cap, you see there's a screw we can mess with. So there's stuff under that. And if we could just start turning the cube, you will notice that it is pretty fast, but it is super unstable, meaning that, like, even as I'm turning only 2 layers, the bottom layer moves. We can tell that there is factory lube inside, which is good, but the thing is that there's no room to corner cut, and it is way too fast. So, with just a little bit of lube and a screwdriver, I'm going to show you how you can make like a pretty bad cube good enough while you wait for a new cube. Now, for the sake of the video, I'm just going to use a household screwdriver, but anything that has a screw that will look like it fits in our cube will work. You can go a little big, it probably won't make a difference. And this is lube. This is a heavier lube. If you don't have lube, which I'm sure you won't, it's really easy to get. You don't need a lot of it, and it can be very, very cheap. On Amazon, I know if you want to get it there, is to not like shop on like the Cubicle or something if you're not already comfortable with that or something. This is called Weight 5. You can get something called Traxxas 50K, which will do the same thing. Alright, first things first. We're going to loosen this cube using our screwdriver. We're going to just do kind of like a half turn, but you're gonna like do a half turn and start from there. You're gonna go until you can get corner cutting on all of the sides like that. I'm gonna use a different screwdriver just for like ease of use. And you can take all the centers off. Obviously, we won't be needing those. Alright, and you can immediately feel that this is a lot better. This is going to give that crazy corner cutting that I was showing off on this other cube that I have that is my test version of what I did here. Next we have to do something about how fast this cube is, because while I have a very fast light tuning style and normally use a cube that's set up much closer to this, but obviously with magnets and everything, most people, especially beginners, won't be able to handle this amount of speed. And if you think you will, you can get used to it, but it's just not recommended. So what we're going to do, sorry for that, is we're going to slow it down a little. You have to use some sort of cube lube for this, because it will ruin the plastic of the cube if you use something like WD-40 or something else. And now an alternative to this, if you don't want to use a lube, is you can just take the whole cube apart, which would be a lot easier now, and you can wipe all of this down, and that'll give it a much drier feeling too, which can be something. We are going to wipe down the cube because it is just a better way to do it, so I am going to show you how to clean a cube here too. Alright, here you can see I just kind of grabbed a Kleenex, a paper towel or anything like that will work, and what we're just going to do is we're just going to wipe down the piece pretty thoroughly. Corner pieces are obviously a lot easier than edge pieces, and you only really need to get it off of the contact points, so that's going to be like around here on the of the stock of the piece and on the surface of the piece. If you want to see contact points, you can also just bring it up to an edge and see where it's going to touch. Now edges are a little trickier because there's a lot more like inner things you want to get into. So after you do just like a basic wipe down like we did with the corner, you can do is you can bunch up a little bit of paper towel or something, and you can just kind of like shove it in there, and it'll sort of like form to that space, and that should normally work. Just like that. It's a lot. just like that. It's a lot less lubey now. You're going to do this to all of the corner edge pieces, so I'm going to do that, and when I'm done, I will come back. Alright, and the last thing I forgot to mention is that you want to also wipe down these like outer pieces of the center caps. This is just because it's another contact point, and the whole center cap piece is important to wipe down because things rub along there. Alright, after just a few minutes of work, you can kind of see the mess we've made. So this is a really good opportunity to learn how to assemble a cube. You don't actually have to assemble it in the correct way. You can if you want to, but if you have taken the centers off, just do this. Put the white center on one, and then next to it in any direction, put the green center. And above the green center, when you have the white one on the left, above the green center, put the red one right here. And from there, you can just put the rest of them on with opposite colors. So it should be super easy. Now, actually assembling it, you're going to start with any corner. It doesn't really have to be in the right position. Just put it in there, and you're going to find one corner that, ignore that happened. The corner that goes right here, or just any corner, or not a corner edge. You're going to grab any corner, put it right there, and grab any edge, put it right there, and ta-da! Now you're just gonna make that a 2x2x2 into a 2x2x3. Whoa, that might happen. Don't worry about it. It's completely normal, especially now that we have our cube a little bit looser, because that's what makes it perform better. Without magnets, it can be kind of weird to put back together. So then you can much more easily set this down on the table. I'll put that back now that I have it here, and just insert these pieces, kind of force a few of them in, and it should get a lot easier as that center is raised more. See how this one feels like that's not even? This is just because it's getting the internal mechanism is slightly flawed on this cube. So if you do happen to have this exact cube, you can just kind of pull up and it'll fix it. This is completely fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, and then the last 3 pieces, you're going to put both of the corners in, like that, and then turn this to a 45-degree angle, and you're just going to want to shove that edge piece in there, and it should go in. And just like that, we have our fully functional cube. Now, you might notice you get something like this, where there is a flipped edge, and in this case I got really unlucky. There's also a twisted corner. The way you're going to fix this is if you just take that edge out, and if you also have a twisted corner, twist that corner, and I'm just going to make my life a little easier and twist that one too, and put that thing back in, and now it's fully solvable, kind of. There is one other thing that can happen here, and that is that 2 edge pieces got swapped. So again, just take the cube apart, both of these edges out, and put the cube back together in its correct position. Just put that in, and boom, we have a fully functional cube that will feel probably pretty similar, because factory lube isn't a ton, but it will feel a little bit different. Mostly it'll provide more of a canvas for us to lube a little. Now if you, with this heavier lube, you could also just stop here, but if you want to make this a lot more like mine, with this heavier lube, you kind of just want to take a piece out. I know we've been doing that a lot. Then you want to put it on the contact points. So you're going to want to put it here in the crevice of this edge. And you want to use less than you want to use more, because you can always add more, but taking it out requires, obviously, clean the whole cube. And we're just going to put some kind of everywhere, because we're only lubing 1 piece. If you wanted to lube 2 pieces, you'd do less lube on each of them when we put that in the right way. And then to break it in, there's a lot of things you could do. The easiest one is to just do a few salts. Now you might notice that this didn't make too much of a difference. You're probably going to need a lot more than you think. If I have to lube it again, then I will not take it apart, and I'm just going to shove this in there and start kind of putting it everywhere. And yeah, this cube is still non-magnetic, a little bit flimsy, but just like that, you have a much more controllable cube that you can use for. Now, depending on your cube and the lube you have, it might feel really slow. This is okay. You just want to do a lot of solves and break it in. But yeah, that's pretty much how you can take a pretty awful cube that's super tight and really fast and make it a lot more controllable and easier to use. You can see now these cuts a lot easier. Obviously, if this feels too loose, you can always retighten it, and if that feels too tight, you could still loosen it more. Comparing to the other one I have, I think I like this one better. Again, this one has a black side for a project I did a while ago. But yeah, thanks so much for watching.